Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this week's Tips and Tricks webinar on a Thursday. Appreciate everybody accommodating the day change. Today's topic is the new MITRE ATT&CK dashboard extension. Please use your Q&A chat if you have any questions during the webinar. We'll make sure we answer those. That will get started. Our presenter is a product manager in R&D in Tel Aviv, Oren Karen. Oren, take it away.
Thank you, Robert. So thank you, everybody, for joining. My name is Oren. I'm from R&D in the headquarters. I know some of the names in the audience. I believe we had sessions before together on multiple topics. And in today's topic, this is a extremely pre-release. That means we had the EA, we had the QA, we had all the processes, but we are launching it next week. So you're going to get a glance and the ability to use it like before everybody. And the content is related to MITRE. Now, MITRE ATT&CK in the endpoint area, we had a very successful testing, and we got like in the top. But MITRE ATT&CK is not only for endpoint. It was created for an endpoint protection, but we took it to a different direction. And the first one who've done that. So let me show you what we've done and how you can utilize and use it. So what is MITRE ATT&CK? That's the basic question that we need to start with, because from that everything is built in this presentation or in the life of the extension or the analysis using MITRE. So MITRE said in the website, it's a global accessible knowledge base. Basically, it's a community, and we are a part of the community. If you look for Checkpoint, we are giving lots of data to MITRE also to expose that have a goal. The goal is to take different malwares, APT, different attacks, and map them based on multiple layers. Now, it's not only mapping, it's also how to respond and what do you need to mitigate, and we will discuss that. But the language is tactics, techniques, and sub-techniques. When you open MITRE ATT&CK, and we'll see the screen in a second, tactic is what the attacker is trying to achieve. He's trying to achieve reconnaissance action against your network. He's trying to achieve an execution, try to run something, or to exfiltrate data outside, or to have an impact like a ransomware. The technique is he tried to reconnaissance using scanner 3 dots. He tried to exfiltrate using a CNC communication over DNS protocol. And sub-technique is the exact way the attacker implemented the technique. That means he exfiltrated using DNS, where inside he used the subdomain to exfiltrate the data. Because the exfiltration can be inside the content of the DNS query, or the DNS query will just assist it to communicate with the CNC, and then the tunneling outside will be in a different way. Now, it's based on lots of threat models and lots of methodologies that we all in the industry are giving to MITRE. And because of that, it's very extensive. And they are now, as an non-related to any of the vendors, can test us. Can we protect from the different techniques and sub-techniques that are in use? That's exactly what they've tested in the SandBlast agent or Harmony endpoint, and that's exactly where we succeeded. But the relations of what can you do with it based on MITRE are divided into 6. I will not read it. I will just emphasize important ones that you should think of if you want to improve your security. One of the ones I like is defense gap assessment. You have multiple products, not only Checkpoint and not only other vendors. You have 6, 5, 12 different vendors or products. Some of them are from Checkpoint, some of them from another vendor, like a proxy, like a WAF. So what are the techniques this WAF is protecting you from, and what are the techniques Checkpoint protecting you from? If you look at the screen of MITRE, I said we'll see it in a second, are you fully protected from all of the tactics, that means steps of the attacks in a high level, all the techniques, all the ways an attacker can achieve a successful attack against you? And it's very useful in understanding what are the gaps. Of course, there is the behavioral analytics development. Next week, we have a session, another one on the MITRE ATT&CK, but in the last CPX, if some of you went to the table of MITRE ATT&CK, one of the things that we've done in Checkpoint is we were able to write a machine learning algorithm that uses MITRE ATT&CK to say this is a malicious file because he uses MITRE ATT&CK steps in this order. Now, why should we care or use it when we have a gateway? When we have an endpoint, there is a full methodology of why. This is threat hunting. You can open threat hunting and do it. Samless Mobile, by the way, or Harmony Mobile, you have MITRE ATT&CK. Per malicious application, you understand what the malicious application was trying to achieve. But what is the relations to the network and why? And there are two main use cases. One, you can understand your attack landscape. Now, I'm saying attack because, again, that's how you write it, MITRE ATT&CK. But when Checkpoint exposed the attack threat landscape on the US, that's pretty massive, like everybody. How it's related to you? Maybe some of the use cases are related to you. But can you tell what is your own landscape? Where the attackers are pointing to? What are they trying to achieve? Where are they working inside or from outside in? And the second, I believe the most important part, is the action you take that is not related to Checkpoint. We can say move from detect to prevent, improve, enable, do prevention, deploy the agent in order to mitigate or remediate, and do it upfront. You have a ransomware, you will get the automatic removal and going back in time. So no ransomware was there. But what if the change needed to be done on your Windows server or your Apache server, or even understanding that a server that is exposed, you should not enable it to have a functionality because the attacker can use it. So what are the mitigation that are not all the time related to Checkpoint? That's exactly what we've done in the extension. You can understand your attack landscape and get the mitigations not related to Checkpoint, related to the technologies you have. Now, this is MITRE. This is the map of it. It's been updated all the time. We're working it all the time. The title called Tactics. Each and one of the boxes called Techniques. And you have a number, a small number in each of the box. Those are sub-techniques that are inside. So that's the intent, the high-level intent to reconnaissance. That's the technique. I want to achieve it using a scanner. And the sub-technique, exactly what I'm trying to do. Let's take a use case. You have an environment, 3 clusters, 5 clusters, 10 clusters, doesn't really matter for this use case. 3 plus 2,500 users. In approximately a week, you will have, if everything is enabled and you really got attacks and it's not an internal to internal network, lots of anti-bot and lots of IPS logs. So what if we can take those logs of IPS, CVEs, and anti-bot, lots of names of signatures, and tell you, this is the technique that they really wanted to achieve as an attackers. It took us 12 months, 11 months to map all of the signatures. We took a team, the research team of IPS. They map it one by one because there are the researchers of also of MITRE. And then they've built automatic procedures that take the signature and say, okay, it's related to MITRE in this context. And we released it in 2 ways. One, we released it in R8110. We've just finished the EA, an extreme success. So it's usable in R8110, but in R8110, it's not an extension. You have it in the logs. You open IPS logs, where the only vendor that you open it, you have a MITRE section in the IPS log saying, this is what the attacker was trying to achieve. Simple as that. Also in anti-bot. It took us 11 months. We believe our competitors will see what we've done. They will start to do it also. It's a gap that they will definitely try to achieve. But it's not only in the log that you transform from CVE to MITRE, because not all of you have R8110, or maybe 1 or 2 of you. By the way, that's how the log looks like. Nginx is a cloud technology. It's an IaaS installation. So you've installed a local gateway, a cloud gateway. You've enabled IPS. You get signature for the cloud or for the on-premise, but you get what the attacker was trying to achieve: to exploit a public-facing application, command and scripting interpreter, and endpoint denial of service. That's what he was trying to do with this Nginx, NJS heap-based buffer overflow CVE, blah, 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 blah. And you know, even if you will click the links, you will not get it because it's MITRE attack language. Now, I will assume some of you or most of you or all of you doesn't have R8110 installed. And that's exactly why we've created the extension. Because you have RAT, if you have RAT 20, please upgrade. But because the extension is rated for RAT 30 management and above, the gateway can be R65. We don't care about the gateway versions, not the management. RAT 30, 40, and RAT 1. What we've done in the extension is we said the following. Import the extension like you import any extension and execute it. You have a box called MITRE ATT&CK. On the top, you click it. The first step is to connect to Smart Event. There is a dependency. We do not use the logs API because it will take very, very long time to just query them. We use the Smart Event mechanism of Solar to be able to fetch a table from the database. We run a query like we run a report, and then we get a response of the aggregated data. We don't need to run very extensive work on your smart console that can crash it even, because it's pretty enormous to analyze the data upfront. We fetch the IPS and antibot logs. We map inside the extension between the languages what is the MITRE related data to the IPS or antibot log. We give you a heat map, and then you generate a report. The report gives you all the mitigations you need to take based on MITRE documentation. None of the mitigations has been created by MITRE, by Checkpoint. We took everything for MITRE. We're exposing to you just the full path, what needed to be taken, what are the changes. It must say that the report now is supported RAT10. In the upcoming Jumbo, it will be added to RAT1, and after that to RAT40 and RAT30. It will take between 1 Jumbo to 2 Jumbos to upgrade all, just to give it inside. So you can use all of it, but the generate report will not work because we are verifying or testing what are the versions that you are using. Let's see an example. Let me share a screen. By the way, if you have any questions on the Q&A, you're welcome to ask. Now let me open it for a second and give it to you, just present it to you. Just a second. Now, for the explanation, oh, it was closed, so I will just open it. It'll take me 1 more minute. Adding an extension is very simple. You go to Manage and Settings inside your Smart Console, and you just add the extension as a link. I know you do not. I know you do not see the screen. I know. I'm opening it. I'm opening it again, and we'll show it to you. I'm just looking for the video for the demo. So you're adding it as a very simple flow. From next week, only from next week, you will have the extension in the toolbox. Toolbox is in Checkmates, the location where we put all of our extensions and report and share it with you. Okay, now I can share the screen of the video and show it to you. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So I've imported the extension. I will not show it to you now because again, it will take like the minute that we don't have, but I've imported the extension from next week, from next Wednesday, after the session that we'll have for all of Checkmate's community. Then I'm going to post the extension there. But let me do play and explain what we have. We run MITRE ATT&CK. The run analysis means fetching the logs, aggregating the data inside your local smart console, and enriching with MITRE content. So after fetching it, it can take between 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depends on the quantity of logs you have. You can choose query for 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. Now don't start with 1 month, start with 1 week. 1 day it will be pretty fast because just see that it works for and everything is good. 1 month, it will just take time. 1 month means what is your attack landscape on your network for the last 30 days. That's something that I believe that is important to show to the higher level, or to show as a POC, or just to understand where the attackers are trying to point in your exposed assets or internally. But let's see what we have in here. I've clicked all. That means show me the only ones get hits. If it's really red, that means you get lots of hits. If it's less, that's fine. Now you get 2 colors. Detect, yellow. Prevent is the bluish color. I will say it's not blue, it's bluish. And it's also important to say. So the attacker is trying to focus on execution on your network, command and scripting interpreter. we'll see exactly the mitigation of it, and you can click on the link inside and go to MITRE. Everything is clickable. You can click and go to MITRE ATT&CK and then see exactly the full description, but it's written also inside the hover that you see. Now I will click play and we'll see the next phase. From high level, the most important part is to understand what are they trying to achieve from tactics. That means impact, execution, discovery, and initial access. On the right, they're really trying to execute stuff on you, and everything is on detect. You see that most of it were in the 24th of February. If you run for a month, you will see the behavioral cross time of what is going on with all of the attacks against you, from outside in or from inside out. The spread on the left is just another representation of the detect versus prevent attack tactic spread. Now we'll generate the report. After generating the report, we'll be able to save it, download it. That's, by the way, the feature, the new feature that was added into the extension code. For this extension, we've added new code that is able to generate, just to download stuff. So the flow is, we save the data. If you want to develop an extension or want to ask for an extension to be developed for you, you can use now the data that you have using, in our case, React to create an application, then parse it into a PDF or an HTTP or an HTML file, and then create a report and save it as a PDF. The full flow works now from code side, so you can export any report you want. Again, an extension means you don't have boundaries of smarts. You can create any extension you want. So we've created an extension. Last page will show you what are the latest news on the extensions or on MITRE ATT&CK related. So what are the latest publications we have? What are the important parts we believe you should look at? But because we have 11 more minutes, let's see what we got. After running the extension and understanding the landscape or the attack landscape on you, now the report looks very good. UX and UI worked on it. I want to understand what we have in here. The targeted asset is 10, 10, 10, 10. That's your external IP of an exposed asset. It's an internal IP that is getting attacked all times. And the attacks that has been seen are 6 and 12. So targeted asset are destination or sources. Depends, of course, if it's anti-bot or IPS. We are adding also threat emulation to the same report, so you have everything. Attack scenes are some of the suppressed logs. In each log of threat prevention, there is another field called suppressed logs. It's the amount of malicious connections in a time frame of 5 minutes. So you got one log, but 6 suppressed logs means 6 attacks, just in a very short period of time. But this CVE, Dovecode Server Denial of Service, maybe you don't even have a Dovecode Server Denial of Service, and that can happen. People are trying to hack something that is not there just because. That's life. But the related MITRE technique is endpoint denial of service. That's what they're trying to achieve. That's the mapping that took us 11 months because we reviewed all of the protections, and every week we have 16 more protections or 26 more protections, I think, new ones. So every one of them are getting the same process. And what is the mitigation? We can read all of it, but the most important one is the last sentence. To defend against SYN floods, enable SYN cookies. This is the attack, basically, on this Dovecode server. Now, I don't know if it's a Dovecode server. We are not doing yet discovery. I believe that we will have something that we'll be able to show maybe on next time, because we are working now on discovery engine inside the gateway using application control. Let's take it offline, maybe think about presenting also that on the next time. But now I have a CVE that I don't know what is it. I understand I can click and go to MITRE and see what is the technique and what everybody are writing about it, but I know what to do and not on checkpoint. Now I can review everything. That's fine. I can scroll down and see this one. In some cases, it's not possible to mitigate or use application control where appropriate. I'm not changing anything of what MITRE are saying. It should be very strict. We're not writing in here anything that is related to what we think. We put what the industry think. We can write whatever we want, and we will put like a star saying this is what Checkpoint thinks. But let's see the last one. Wacom Levy Studio buffer overflow, the 6537 on the internal IP. So there is a relation to PowerShell in this attack for command scripting interpreter. Just the correlation between CVE and to understand that this is what the attacker was trying to achieve. And you can mitigate it by doing something related to PowerShell. That's a step that now you understand you need to go to the server and do it if it's a Wacom server or Wacom server. If not, that's fine. You will see lots of those. After we do the discovery, we will be able to reduce lots and lots of stuff from here. Now, Adobe InDesign remote code execution, the one above it, it's the same command scripting interpreter. You remember we had a MITRE attack of the network, the attack landscape, attack with an at. It's the command scripting interpreter that was really rad. And we are now upgrading the report like to be very, not colorful, but getting lots of high-level statistics on the top, like showing you the entire map and timelines and statistics and who is the top targeted and what they are trying to do. But that's the second step. The first step is just to tell you that's the mitigation you need to take. All the other stuff, it's not fluff. It's important to see. It's important to show the managers that this is my security status from my perspective, and that's what I know I need to do or what the vendor gave me. But we started with the more important part, the mitigations. So if I go back to the presentation, and let me just open it back to here. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
So when you look on MITRE, MITRE gives you, from our perspective, three things. It's classified the techniques, what the attacker has done or tried to do. But more of that, it shows you the intent, what he was trying to achieve against you. Tried to achieve. I'm not saying he did. By the way, Antibot said in most cases that he did. But I'm not saying that all the time it will be. I know what was the intent to the end. Not to hack, not to run somewhere, not to steal data. He was trying to get inside or taking something out. But I believe that the important part is the mitigation. And the action is not only move from detect to prevent. It's not only, okay, let's enable SSL inspection. That is extremely important because you are, I know, 80% blind if you don't have HTTPS inspection. It's hard, but it's important. Or MTA, enable mail security. If you are having the cloud security for mail security, that's fine. But you are on premise, those are fundamentals. But the mitigations for those kind of attacks that we are talking about, you now have it. And I believe it's useful. To recap everything, I will say that in the network, what you've seen, it's a pre-release. Next Wednesday will be the really pre-release to the community, so you are pre-release. And only in a month or so, we're going to build I'm now working on the website, checkpoint.com/MITRE attack. You will see lots of stuff and we will publish it in Google search, like it would be crazy. As we're the only vendor that have MITRE for network. No one have that. In SandBlast agent, in our Harmony agent, we are on the top. And it's funny for me to see competitors that are putting themselves and then they just put it outside. They don't show us. And there are lots of interesting discussion in LinkedIn on that because, okay, we are on the top. Why have you reduced us? We are showing you because, you know, you've done great job. You are number 2, number 1, number 4. You've done great job. Okay. So what? We are competitors. We are showing everybody, even the ones who are above us. That's fine, to be very precise. But they're removing us, so that's just make us funny or laugh. SandBlast Mobile. If you have Harmony Mobile, just open the applications that has been found and find the malware. For any malware, any application that is malicious, you have full MITRE attack. You can understand the intent and get the mitigation. And yes, network security in the cloud using the gateways can be fundamental for some of you that have a VPC or have like a dedicated stream to your own closed environment in the cloud. So it's a regular gateway, but eventually you can find out the same attack landscape, attack with an at landscape on your cloud environment. What are the next steps? First of all, of course, you will get by email the link. I will ask you not to post it. Just don't post it. Robert will send you all the data. Please don't post it. Next week on Wednesday, we're going to publish it globally on Checkmates. You can join the session and tell us if it works, or you can send me a direct email because we are looking for inputs. We want to know if we need to improve. We have the resources because our managers in R&D and product and field believe it can assist our customers. So you have a challenge, directly send an email. Of course, to your receipt, your account. We need to maintain the order of working with R&D and with the field together. I'm working with the field together all the time, and that's how it should work. But just ask us. We will update, we will improve based on inputs. And as said at the start, we started the EA, it's pretty crazy results. So any input will be welcome. And Robert, back to you.
Okay, great. Does this work on cloud-based management, management as a service?
Yeah, it works. Extensions works there, but our like Smart One Cloud.
Yeah.
So I will need to check because for Tailored Safe, I've asked them to allow the functionality for Tailored Safe. If they've done that, then it will work. But that's a good question. I will check it.
Okay. You already mentioned where to get this extension. How is the extension updated? So if they do install the extension, is it automatically updated as you make changes, or do they have to keep an eye on the
That's a good question. Extensions and the flow that we work in R&D are the following. You fetch the extension, that's fine. You connect secure updates or checkpoint.com, the location you download the IPS packages and application control updates. But when you open the extension every time, it fetches this extension.json again. What we do, if we have a new feature, you gave us a new feature you want us to develop, and we've developed it, we will just update the extension.json in the secure updates or checkpoint.com. And in the next time you will open the extension, you will just see the change. There is no need to remove, there are no versions in extensions. It's just one version because you just update and fix. You found a bug, we found a bug, we'll fix it and we'll say, okay, just run it, close the Smart Console, open it again, or close the extension, open it again, and that's it. It will be fast again.
Okay. There's a question from me. Did I hear you correctly that 81.10, it's not an extension, it's just integrated into the dashboard? Or did I hear you incorrectly?
8110, you have the MITRE ATT&CK inside the logs for IPS. So if you have R8110, then you have a Splunk, or you want to see the MITRE ATT&CK dashboard in Smart View, you will have threat emulation, IPS, and antibot as a native inside Smart Console. You will not need any extension. Mitigations has not been added yet into the logs because it's a challenge, a commercial challenge. So if you want to get the mitigations, the extensions is the only way for now.
Okay. And also, did you mention Smart Event is required for this extension to work properly?
Yes, the way we query the logs called SME CLI. The management have an API. When you run an extension, we are using your password locally that you've logged in with to locate where is the log server and where is the Smart Event server. We are running an SME CLI that is Smart Event query, because then the query will resolve in 20 seconds. If we will do it with the APIs, we need to fetch the logs API, all of the logs to your desktop and then analyze them. So yes, we are using Smart Event. It's a dependency. You don't need to use it. You just need to be enabled. So we'll be able to use the functionality of it.
Okay. Are there any blade requirements? Like you have to use IPS or antibot?
Yeah, IPS and antibot to be able to get the analysis. If you do not use antibot, and we see that, we will tell you on the first screen, you're not using antibot. We advise you to enable it because you have the license, but you don't need, you can move forward. If you don't use both, so you don't have any use case to find because you don't have any logs with threats. So okay. One of them is mandatory, just as a basic.
Okay. All right, I think that covers it on questions. So thank you. Good information. Like I said, I'm going to be sending a follow-up email with the recording link and some of the information that Oren shared with us here. But again, this is a special sneak preview, right, Oren? This was really going to be announced next Wednesday on a checkmate session.
Yeah. Please do not announce it nowhere. Don't kill the excitement of next week.
Don't kill the messenger here.
Yeah.
But I'll send the invite for that also, so you have that information. I'm sure it'll dig a little deeper, and there'll be a lot of other people on that session who might have some interesting questions. So I'll make sure you get that information also. So let's see. With that, let's see. Our next session will be on May 21st. You'll see an invitation for that soon. And thank you, Oren. Great information. And I'll see you all back here on our next session. Enjoy your day. Thanks, Oren.
Most welcome. Thanks, Robert.
Bye.
Bye all.